May I never be deprived of this purple robe, and may I never see the day when those who meet me do not call me empress. If you wish to save yourself, my lord, there is no difficulty. We are rich, over there is the sea, and yonder are the ships. Yet reflect for a moment whether, when you have once escaped to a place of security, you would not gladly exchange such safety for death. As for me, I agree with the adage that royal purple is the noblest shroud. Hello, I'm M.E. from M.E. and History. These words were, according to the writer and historian Procopius, spoken by Empress Theodora of the Byzantine Empire when her husband, Emperor Justinian I, was preparing to flee during the Nika riots in 532 CE. But a series of revolts that broke out at a chariot racing stadium are not what I'll be talking about. What I will be talking about is a story that is rich, vibrant, and quite unique. That story is the history of the color that this remarkable empress was referring to. Purple. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, purple? Really? If this video is an art history lesson, let's talk about the Mona Lisa, or Starry Night, or some other famous masterpiece. Why is this video about a color instead? My viewers, just as paintings are a language, so too are the colors used in them. In fact, color has been, and always will be, of enormous significance to us, be it in religion, politics, and, of course, the arts. And purple is no exception to that. So gather around as I tell you the tale of purple. We'll begin our story roughly in the 15th century BCE in the Phoenician city of Tyre, now a part of modern-day Lebanon. It was there that the Phoenicians developed a technique to create a color dye that involved, of all things, snails. Yes, you heard me correctly, my viewers. Snails. And not just any snails, mind you. Bolinus brandaris, to be exact. According to Pliny the Elder, millions of these carnivorous snails were gathered and had their spiky shells cracked open. Then a gland of each snail was squeezed, releasing one tiny drop of a rather stinky liquid. Not long after being exposed to the sun, this drop would turn a few different colors before turning into a shade that we refer to as Tyrian purple, after the city in which the sacrificial gastropods were harvested. I use the term sacrificial when referring to the snails because it took roughly 250,000 of them to make a single ounce of Tyrian purple dye. As you can imagine, the work that went into creating this unique dye was so enormous that it led to the color being linked to three things. The first of these three things was luxury. Why? Thanks to the amount of labor needed to make it, Tyrian purple cloth had a rather hefty price to it, that's why. The result? Only the really wealthy members of society could afford to have and wear this prized color. Because only those at the top of the social pyramid could buy Tyrian purple fabric, the color was linked to the second thing, power. In the Roman Republic, for example, Tyrian purple was worn by members of the military and in the Senate, but in different ways so that it was easy to tell who belonged to what rank or position. In religious rites, purple was worn by priests in the tabernacle and by clergymen in the Roman Catholic Church. But by the time a certain Julius Caesar arrived on the scene, the color became linked to the third and probably the most important thing we still associate it with to this very day: royalty, or something akin to it, given that Rome was still a republic at the time. Over time, draconian sumptuary laws were passed over who could wear what colors, especially Tyrian purple. In Rome, if someone other than the ruling family was caught violating these laws, the penalties were quite harsh, ranging from property confiscation to death itself. Later on, as Christianity took hold of Western Europe, medieval kings wore Tyrian purple, and some were even buried in Tyrian purple shrouds. And in the Byzantine Empire, where Justinian I and our girl Theodora had their reign, the birthing rooms of the empress were constructed out of special marble and swathed in yard after yard of Tyrian purple cloth, a custom that led to the phrase, "born in the purple." For a kid to come into the world surrounded by Tyrian purple meant that they were better than their social inferiors and thus cemented their right to run the show. Okay, by now you're probably wondering, if society's bigwigs could only wear purple in the past, then why can anyone, blue-blooded or no, wear it today? To answer that question, we need to go to Great Britain in 1856. There, holed up in an at-home laboratory in London, a chemistry student named William Henry Perkin was putting his energies and focus into making synthetic quinine to help with ever-growing malaria outbreaks. But instead of creating medicine, Perkin's efforts created a bright purple mixture. Your average chemist would probably think, "This stuff isn't medicine. I'll just dump it out the window and try again." Not so with Perkin. After dipping some fabric into the mixture, Perkin discovered that he had created a synthetic dye that could last longer on fabrics after repetitive washings. Seeing the possibilities of this dye, Perkin built a factory, came up with an industrial process, and pumped out the dyed fabric left, right, and center. Originally called Mauvine, French for the mallow flower, Perkin shortened the dye's name to mauve. Between 1859 and 1861, mauve became a fashion must-have, thanks in part to a certain Queen Victoria. Unfortunately, the trend died out because, while mauve's synthetic quality made the fabric somewhat less expensive than Tyrian purple, the dye faded too easily in the sunlight. However, that didn't mean synthetic dyes were a total failure. Thanks to Perkin's efforts, other synthetic purple dyes were created, heliotrope and violet, for instance. Now, anyone could wear purple, be they a trend-setting queen, an extravagant first lady, or even your average person down the street. With the line over who could wear this regal color now blurred, purple's meanings started to change. Today, purple is linked with, among other things, creativity, spirituality, and magic. Whatever we may associate purple with, however, the color is still commonly linked to people with crowns on their heads, including the head of a strong-willed empress who was determined to keep herself and her husband in power in the midst of a revolt. So when you see, carry, or wear purple, or any other color for that matter, Today, remember, colors, like works of art, are a language. And, like works of art, colors must be taken seriously if we are to understand our past, present, and perhaps our future. I'm ME from ME and History and YouTube.